It's time for some inspiration. Tune in to get fit and healthy. It's time to talk about nutrition. Nutrition for your body, your mind, your spirit. It's time to talk about proper exercise, stress relief, eating well, and supplementation to help. Get ready to take charge of your health, because your health is your wealth, and the wealth of those who care about and love you. It's time for Let's Talk Nutrition with Dr. Michael Garko. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for stopping by today. Great to have the opportunity to get into your community and, well, maybe your car, your home, wherever you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. And thank you. We appreciate you. And the show is always about the audience, right? That's why we're here. And we are a show that encourages you to call and to talk and to share what's on your mind about what I may be focused on, or a guest, or something that you found important and you might believe that this is something others should know. Share. It's important. You know, you can empower others, help empower others. That's always on my mind. To educate, empower, and entertain. And use evidence to do all of that. The 4 E's for me. And that just didn't come overnight. This is after 12 years of working through this. And thank you for your patience. Things evolve, don't they? We hope. And the shows evolve. You know, I host and produce it, and I have technical producers, Gary and Stephen, who are among the best of the best. Gordon Bird's here. He's a program director. He's been a mentor for me for the last 12 years. There's a lot goes into the show, and I'm trying to keep growing and learning. Empower, educate, empower, entertain, and use evidence. Make that from an evidence-based platform. That's what we're trying to do. So you can become involved in that. And we want you to join the conversation. I love it when you call. If you listen to the show, somebody calls, I'll talk to them. Boy, I'm interested. I want to know what's on your mind. So join the conversation.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. You can also go through our Facebook page and message us on Facebook. And if you so want, go to Let's Talk Nutrition and watch the show live there. We also have archived shows. Right.
Everything's on demand. The show streams simultaneously with the terrestrial broadcast. It streams on the Let's Talk Nutrition page, Facebook, and YouTube. By the way, just on the streaming portion of the show, for the month of August, there were well over 1.5 million people that streamed the show through the month of August. That's just the stream. Man, it's a privilege to do this. You have no idea. I love it. No guests today, so the lines are always open. But this even gives you more opportunity to join the conversation. And there'll be several things I'm going to focus on today. One of which, part of my career, I'm a researcher, and my colleague and I, at the time, we did a lot of market research for companies. And so I'm dialed into that. And in fact, he went to work for Gallup at one point. And Gallup has a wonderful series of surveys that they've done. It's part of their State of American Well-Being research arm of the company. And they have a survey that they did on community rankings for healthy eating. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, as well as some other surveys that they did and have done that are instructive, that are informative, that are a way to understand what others are doing. Sometimes to understand what you're doing, you have to look at others for context, to compare and to contrast. And where you live makes a difference on how you live. We don't need any more evidence than what's the tragedy that's going on in Houston right now, in Texas, and on the Gulf Coast there, Louisiana. The tragedy. Where they live is driving how they're going to live now. Some of those poor folks are without anything, lost everything. I don't know if Gary and Stephen, if you saw the promo, they're running some promos where they're trying to get people to donate. I don't know who shot the promos, boy, but they were very good with the camera. Somebody had a wonderful sense of humanity, but yet a sense of artistry and aesthetics. And they show a couple of people in this promo that just immediately, they're not talking. They're just, music is playing, and all you see is these poor souls. And two of them, in this one promo, both were women, elderly women. They're heartbreaking. And you look at and they have nothing, lost everything. Right? Makes you grateful. And it's where they live. They never thought that where they lived was going to determine how they're going to live. So these surveys are really important. I didn't mean to go off on that little bit of a tangent, but you just can't help but talk about it. Watching now it's 6-7 days that storm has devastated people's lives. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then since you did mention it, of course, there's tons of places to donate. We had a blood drive here at the station yesterday. That's obviously something they need. Redcross.org, go there to donate in a simple way. $10 goes by texting just Harvey to 90999, and that's again with the Red Cross as well. So just to throw that out there, I know iHeartMedia is a part of it, and some of our affiliates may be doing something as well. But with the national audience, doesn't hurt to throw that out there too.
Absolutely, Stephen. I'm glad you did. And as I saw, it's interesting. They were all women. There was a table. They had it outside in the parking lot for the blood drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Out there in the heat. One of the things I have learned over the past 11 months, given my own battle and struggle, is that most of the time, most people are mostly good. Most of the time, most people are mostly good. That will be a theme in the book. Most of the time, most people are mostly good. And it's these kinds of times that you see that. That's wonderful, right? That's a great, in spite of our failings as humans, in spite of our, the nature of human nature, and sometimes it can be pretty ugly, I believe in my heart and soul now that most of the time, most people are mostly good. And that gives me hope, too. Okay, State of American Well-Being Gallup Survey, the community rankings for healthy eating. If you had to guess, what part or parts of the country would rank highest for healthy eating? And why would that be? I mean, if you lived in... you know where Immokalee is?
Yes, I do.
If you lived in Immokalee, Florida, or if you lived in Davenport, Iowa, why would it make a difference?
Well, Immokalee only has 2 restaurants. You know that, right?
And a big swamp.
And a big swamp and produce stands everywhere. Produce is huge in Immokalee. I'll tell you an Immokalee story off air.
Why would it? This is crazy. Yeah, we'll see. LTN Coast to Coast.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
As a researcher, you noodle on questions that normal people would think about. For example, where are the healthiest places in the country in terms of healthy eating? Where are those places? And why is it that one particular town or city in this great United States is eating more healthy than some other place? Why? Well, let me share something with you. This comes from the Gallup series they entitled it State of American Well-Being. And this particular survey that they did ranked communities in terms of healthy eating. Okay? Now, one of the they examined healthy eating across the country and ranking 189 communities in their survey. And it was based on a very basic question. Did you eat healthy all day yesterday? Now, they asked them other questions, but that was the essence. Did you eat healthy all day yesterday? Right? What's fascinating about the results is that the rankings show a wide range of results. They said with the highest communities having more than 3/4 of their citizens report eating healthy all day the previous day, compared to just over half among the lowest healthy eating communities. If you had to guess which states would be good, never mind the communities yet, let's think about it on a more global level first. Which states might have those communities or have communities in them that would rank the highest? Right? Which ones? Got some in mind? If you selected California, good guess. You selected Florida, good guess. Did you pick Texas? Did you pick Arizona? They each claim to have healthy eating communities. Now, if I gave you a choice between, if I asked you, which of these two places, I'll just give you two, ranked the highest for healthy eating? Would it be Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida? That's like three communities, but they put it into one. Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida. Would that be the highest ranking? Or would it be, hold on, would it be, I'm looking here.
I have to give you a drum roll.
How about Lubbock, Texas? Between those two. Now, I threw you off a little bit because I did say that Florida and Texas were places where people ate healthy. Would you pick Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida, or would you pick Lubbock, Texas? Well, I was surprised. Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida was the number one community in the United States with healthy eating ranking. Why would that be? What separates Immokalee Island from El Paso, Texas? El Paso was number 10. By the way, Lubbock was 181. It was last. And I'm sitting and I'm talking to Gary and Stephen about it during the commercial break. And I said, what's going on in Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida? Now, Gary was a police officer for 10 years. And he shared something with me that might explain what's going on in Immokalee. Now, Immokalee, what goes on in Immokalee, Gary?
All the produce from South America comes into Immokalee.
All right. Now, there's a hint. What's the population, Stephen, if you can find it, of Immokalee, Florida? It can't be very much. So all the produce from South America, a large portion of it, I don't know about all, but is shipped into Immokalee. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Is that by boat, I'm presuming?
Yeah. And they have huge produce shipping centers down there. Well, one of the things is like all the tomatoes in the state go through there also. So you're paying for like a case of tomatoes. You go to one of the grocery stores here, you're paying $3 a pound.
Right. How much is a case of tomatoes in Immokalee?
$11.
Okay.
That's 25 pounds of tomatoes.
So you're saying that they have access to fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
When we come back, Gary's going to tell you a story about Immokalee and fruits and vegetables. I would have never guessed Immokalee, Florida. Honest to goodness, that's the truth. And I wouldn't have guessed El Paso, Texas either, which is number 10. Barnstable Town, Maine is number 2. Santa Cruz, Watsonville, California is number 3. Salinas, California is number 4. McAllen, Texas, Mission, Texas is number 5. Santa Rosa, California is number 6. See, a lot of California. Well, let's just, something about Immokalee that's really interesting. LTN Coast to Coast, even in Immokalee.
Feel better fast in every way. Take Hempenol or...
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace for healthy sleep naturally.
Location. No, I'm not a real estate agent. Welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Thanks for tuning in wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. What I'm referring to is where you live can have a profound effect on your health. What do Ohio, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Louisiana have in common? Well, each of these particular states have at least two communities in the lowest that ended up in the lowest ranking for healthy eating. Lubbock, Texas, Memphis, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Ohio, Hickory, Lenoir, Morganton, North Carolina, Clarksville, Kentucky, Lexington, Fayette, Kentucky, Wichita, Kansas, each have less than 57% of their citizens eating healthy. Unbelievable. California, you live in California, people are engaged in healthy eating. I lived in California, and it is different. You know, you have places like Santa Rosa, San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles, California, Santa Cruz, Watsonville, California, Salinas, California. They all ranked in the top 10 for healthy eating. But the thing that really turned my head was Naples, Immokalee, Marco Island, Florida. I would have put it last. And Gary pointed out that Immokalee is I'm sure it's a lovely community. I've never been there, but.
And yeah, you asked about how the population, according to 2010, the latest check was about just over 24,000.
There are more students at the University of South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
There's hardly anybody around. Gary pointed out to me that that's a drop point for vegetables and fruit coming from South America. He also pointed something else out to me. This is an interesting story. He was a police officer for 10 years. And what did you tell me?
I took a drug class. It was called Commercial Drug Interdiction class. It was put on by the state of Florida Department of Transportation, the DOT guys, and they came and we went through commercial vehicles, and one of the things is they said if you ever stop somebody and they were going to Immokalee, Florida, and they had fruit on their truck.
These are tractor trailers?
Tractor trailers. You immediately arrest them, and you call DOT, and they would bring the x-ray machine out because that truck is probably hauling narcotics. He goes,
so let me understand. You have tractor trailers going into Immokalee that ostensibly are carrying vegetables and fruit.
Right.
Most likely they're not, because that's fruit and vegetables come out of Immokalee. They don't go into Immokalee on trucks.
Right. So and then
you actually arrest them.
Yeah, and most of the time it was not really narcotics; it was money. So money goes south, and the narcotics go north.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't believe. I mean, if we had to go sit at the DOT checkpoint out on 75, where they survey the fruits and vegetables and stuff, and that's kind of it's kind of interesting. Right. I learned a lot about.
They're checking for contamination,
bugs, parasites,
and whatnot.
You know, and one of the things I did not know is peaches, blueberries, cherries, apples have to have a frost to grow, and so you'd always see them coming down. And there was a certain, but you never see watermelons coming down because they grow in Florida. So you had to know what your fruits were
to make the arrests.
And it's
see how food gets implicated even in law enforcement.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
And right now, what the biggest hijack? You think one of the biggest hijacking vehicles, the vehicles that get hijacked, they still hijack trucks, but you'd think it'd be like TVs, VCRs, meat.
They hijack meat trucks.
They hijack meat trucks. There's always bolos for hijacked meat trucks coming out of Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Memphis, Chicago. They're all meat packing places. So you always have trucks that are getting hijacked.
That's unbelievable.
Oh,
because meat sells.
Yeah, it sells quick, and like chickens. Okay, when you're doing chickens, the live chickens, and this is one of the things that's kind of steered me away from meat. They'll have two trucks. They'll have the packing truck, and then they'll have the live chicken truck. And you have to have the packing truck there before you can do anything with the live chickens. So them live chickens sit and wait until the packing truck is there.
They suffer.
Yeah. And so then what happens is they pull them off the truck when the packing truck gets there. And it's simultaneously, as they're being processed, they're getting on the packing truck and leaving.
Man. And so they hijack meat.
They hijack meat. That's one of the
more so than appliances.
Even beer. They hijack meat even more than beer.
And where does that meat end up? Where does that meat get sent to? Is it sold within the continental United States?
Yes.
Does it get put on ships and sent out of here? What?
No, it gets sold here. It gets sold in the United States, and they're always looking for it. You'll have guys that'll go around to like the flea markets and the local mom and pop groceries looking for the USDA stamp and stuff like that, because they track it. I mean,
unbelievable. What people will do for a steak. 877-897-8255. You got food implicated in law enforcement, for heaven's sake.
Oh, it's huge, Doc. It's huge, Doc. A lot of people don't realize that about what it takes to process food, get it to your table, and the processing. When we talk about processing, you say if you wash something, you're processing something.
There's processing and degrees of it, and some is harmful, some is necessary.
Well, do you remember a couple years back where they wanted to start radiating the vegetables here in Tampa?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that means they were going to take a nuclear device, some type of nuclear device, and store it unguarded at a port.
No, bad idea.
And radiate the food.
You don't want to say nuclear device and port in the same sentence. Not a good idea. Oh, my goodness. You can't make it up. Location. When I come back, I'll tell you more about location. There are places in the United States of America where there are no grocery stores. Literally. None. Zero. Zero? Zero. And the kids that live in those communities can't identify certain fruits and vegetables. They've never seen them before. Can't make that up.
Don't be stressed out or anxious. Take hemp.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
live makes a difference in terms of your health. Welcome to the show. For example, there was a study that I took a look at that revealed where people had greater exposure to UV rays, UV light, that was correlated with a higher incidence of squamous cell carcinoma. In some places in the United States, regions like the Southwest, for example, people are more exposed to UV light and thus face or are confronted with a higher risk of squamous cell carcinoma. There are other studies that show a correlation between fine particulate levels, matter, the particulate in the air, and mortality rates. The more fine particles, the higher the rate. Researchers found in this study relationships between particulates and increased levels of cancer, renal failure, coronary heart disease, and cognitive decline. Most people are walking around, that's not even on their mind. They're not thinking about that. They don't even know. Other studies have shown associations of negative health outcomes for like rheumatoid arthritis and diabetes correlated with what, if you had to guess? How about living closer to highly traveled roads? I'm serious. In places in the United States where air pollution has decreased over time, guess what happened? There's been an improvement in public health. Most cancers, for example, are environmentally caused. Many of the chronic diseases are environmentally caused, not genetically caused. Now you can live someplace where there's a positive effect. For example, women living in densely populated areas, I would have never put this together, get a protective effect against obesity. Why? Because they walk more and drive less than their suburban counterparts in the country. Isn't that that's astonishing to me? You wouldn't think about it that way, right? I mean, listen to that finding. Women living in densely populated areas have more of a protective effect against obesity because they tend to walk more and drive less. Simple walking. I alluded to the youngsters that are living in places in the United States that are called food deserts. What you will find there in these food deserts are liquor stores, convenience stores, and pawn shops. You'll be hard-pressed to find a grocery store. Some of these kids, when they give them a little exam, they give them photographs or images and ask them to identify what that is. It may be broccoli, it could be some vegetable, and they don't know the answer because they've never seen one of those before. And then you're asking, how could that youngster have any shot at good health? And it's just where they live. This intrigues me. And you have to speak truth to power. There is the politics of food. I was recently updating my bio. And one of the things I put in there, I have earned the reputation of speaking truth to power. It gets me in trouble, but I don't care. And these kind of issues really, I feel very strongly and passionate about. It's one thing for adults to make choices about what they want to eat. But when you don't even give kids a choice, that to me is criminal. That's criminal.
Are you a fan? Let me ask you this: are you a fan if the parents are eating a dinner and the dinner's a healthy dinner, going out or remaking something for the child to eat?
No. The answer is no. What my mom put down on the table for my dad was what my sister and I ate. She didn't go out, Mom, I don't want that. I want a burger. My mother would talk to me in Italian and let me know clearly, go ahead and just eat that.
Well, my ex is Italian, so I probably know the words she used.
What my mom made for dinner, of course, my mom was a wonderful cook and cooked healthy. But she changed over time. I influenced my mom, which was, I'm proud of that.
But I just...
She did change. She did change. She started to cook less meat over time.
Do you think that's because you or did she realize, hey, this is not as healthy?
I told her about it. And you know what was so remarkable about my mother? No matter how old she was, she still stayed open-minded and allowed herself to change.
That's very important. I deal with doing the crunch events and stuff. There's a lot of people that I dealt with yesterday that are switching to a plant-based diet. A lot. Well, I gave away vegan proteins yesterday.
Crunch is a gym franchise here in the Tampa Bay area. It's around the country, but Gary and some of the folks from the marketing department go out into the gym and do product presentations and whatnot. And he's getting an eyeful.
Yeah.
And he's finding out, good things and bad things. But, you can change. That was one of the, my mom, Italian immigrant, no education, my best teacher. And she kept her mind open. And she changed. I watched her all through, and I was with her every day. And I never saw the woman overeat, Gary. I swear to God, not one time did I ever see my mother overeat. Ever. Ever. Small portions on the plate. Unbelievable. She lived to be 92, by the way. I don't know if I'll make that, but where you live, location. There's some other studies from Gallup. Don't know if you know or not, but there's a diabetes epidemic that's raging across the country. They did some other surveys, too. I'll dial you into it, and I'll tell you where you can go and read the surveys for yourself. Come on back. welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Here we are, headed into the weekend edition of LTN. Thanks for tuning in today, coast to coast, including Hawaii and around the world. Europe, Asia, Africa. Month of August, we had over 1.5 million viewers on the stream for the show, and in terms of terrestrial radios, the numbers were good too. That's the heart and soul of the show, by the way. And affiliates across the U.S., check your time. Time zones are different, so you have to check to see when the show airs in your neck of the broadcast woods. It does air 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. So, just accordingly. No guests today, so the lines are wide open. First portion, I was talking about location, and how where you live. I just scratched the surface. So much more I could tell you about that. Where you live has a big impact on your health. And I was referring to a Gallup survey, and I'm going to tell you where you can go and get your hands on these surveys. They're very interesting. You can learn a few things. And I was looking at their survey where they looked at some of the health, where people eat healthy. And Immokalee, Florida was number one. Naples, Immokalee, Florida area. Marco Island, number one in the country. How many restaurants in Immokalee?
Like 11.
Okay, 11. All right, 11. That's it. There's a street here in Tampa called Fowler Avenue. And you get off at Fowler Avenue, from the interstate up to the University of South Florida is 3 miles. There are at least 15 restaurants on Fowler Avenue. There are 15 in the whole town of Immokalee.
You know what I think is funny is that strip. I mean, if you're not familiar with the University of Southern Florida, it is
South Florida.
South USF. It is a medical school. Moffitt Cancer is there. The VA is there. It's a teaching college, and it is surrounded by fast food restaurants
Everywhere. The other day, there's a restaurant called So Fresh. I don't know those people. I'm not doing any endorsement for them. And the food is healthy. I mean, you can get it. It is. And I'm sitting there, and I'm eating, and I'm working. I got my computer out, and in walks a crew of 4. 2 young men, 2 young women. Okay. Sitting there. In walks another crew of 4. 4 guys. Young. College age. Makes sense. College is right there. University USF, University of South Florida. By the time I left the restaurant, most of it was populated with young people. I have always been convinced that demographic, 18 to 30, 18 to 20, 18 to 30, 25, are interested in health. Everybody says, no, that they eat junk. That I am not persuaded by that. I think there's an audience there. And I'm all over Gary about, we got to get this show dialed into young people. That's why we're on Instagram and the social media. I'm trying to reach them. I was tempted to go out. I didn't want to bother them in their lunch. They're eating their lunch. I wanted to go up and talk to them. Why did you come in here? There's a fast food place right next door. There's a Chili's right almost next door to the place. There's another fast food place. They could have gone into any of those restaurants, and they didn't. They came into So Fresh.
And that day we went was standing room only. I couldn't get over that.
That was the one in South Tampa, a different one. And I was there the other day, too, in South Tampa. And young people were coming in there, too. So that company figured out how to appeal to a younger demographic. That's not to say I saw middle-aged and people in their 30s and 40s and 50s in there, too. I didn't see that many elderly people go in there, Gary, which is interesting to me. It's mostly young people. So this tells, that's a clue. I don't know, maybe I'm naive, but I am bound and determined to connect to that demographic. I want them to listen and watch this show. Because that's where the future is. That's how you change the epidemics that are besieging us. One of which is the diabetes. Gallup's State of America Well-Being Survey Project, that's how you can get to it. If you type in Gallup, Gallup, Well-Being Index, if you type in those keywords in your search engine, that will get you to the Gallup surveys. They ask you for your name and an email address. It's not too invasive. And then you can get there's no charge or anything like that. You get right to it. And I've learned a lot from these surveys. And the one I'm going to send to Gary right now is the one on diabetes. It's entitled "The Face of Diabetes in the United States." Here it comes, Gary. What Gary does is I'll send him now the link to that page, and then he'll post it up on the screen, and then tens of thousands, literally, of people can watch the show, that are watching the show will get access to this survey. The survey is entitled "The Face of Diabetes in the United States." If you talk to internists and cardiologists, they're very concerned about diabetes. Because diabetes is it's running in parallel with the obesity epidemic. The obesity epidemic has spawned this diabetes epidemic.
Well, diabetes leads to heart disease, doesn't it?
Absolutely. As well as
kidney disease,
cognitive decline, accelerated aging, amputations.
Is the macular degeneration?
Macular degeneration. The list is long, Gary. You're right. The prevalence of diabetes in the United States went from 11.6% in 2016, and that was up from 10.6% in 2008, so it's climbing. That's a big jump. It doesn't sound like much. A 1-point climb. Now, this survey reveals that, among other things, you look at gender, pretty much male and female the same. In terms of age, the 65 and older, about 24% have diabetes. 45 to 64, about 15%. And as you go down younger yet, 30 to 44, only 5%. What you notice is as people get older, they become more of a candidate for diabetes. You want to know why? Well, there's a number of reasons. One variable is that they gain weight. They start to gain weight.
Sedentary lifestyle?
Sedentary lifestyle, horrible diet, eating too much processed foods, primarily sugar-laden foods. Among workers who are on average younger and in better health than the general population, 7% indicate a diagnosis of diabetes in their lifetime. By occupation, transportation workers have a 10.3% prevalence rate. The occupation category of farming, fishing, and forestry reported the second highest prevalence of diabetes, 8.5%. And transportation workers are also at the greatest risk of being diagnosed with diabetes in the future. Interesting. Job, the kind of job you have, is it one that tends to be more sedentary in nature?
If you've ever had Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends: Virilo Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension. Exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Diabetes. And by the way, you do not have to be overweight or obese to have diabetes.
Okay, that was my next question.
You're reading my mind, huh? You do not. You do not. It's very possible to be eating a diet that's high in processed foods with a lot of added sugar, and you're your biology is such and metabolism is such and the way you live is such that you don't necessarily become obese, but you can still have diabetes type 2. Sedentary lifestyle, lots of stress, poor eating habits, you can become diabetic. Absolutely. Then type 1 diabetes is something different. That's when that happens. That has nothing to do with your lifestyle. That's a different issue. Given the demographic of the show, given the size of the audience, location across the U.S., around the world, many listening and watching the show have type 2 diabetes. And many are on medication, and many are not doing anything about it. And that is a thing you should not be doing. And many don't even, like I said, many don't even know they have it. You want to know, in my opinion, one of the best prescriptions that a doctor can write for a person with type 2 diabetes? And this goes against the grain of what some people are saying out there, is a whole food plant-based diet. Somebody's going to say, wait a minute, those are carbohydrates. Vegetables and fruit are carbohydrate. Carbohydrate get converted into glucose. Well, all carbohydrates get converted into glucose. That's what causes diabetes. And they tell people not to eat vegetables if they have diabetes. I refer you to Dr. Neil Barnard, his book, How to Prevent and Reverse Type 2 Diabetes. What does he recommend? He's a physician. He can tell you. I can suggest it. He will tell you to eat a whole food plant-based diet. No meat, no dairy. And you will reverse type 2 diabetes. He's proven it. He's done it. He does it all the time. You visit his website. See if you can find him, Gary. Neil Barnard. Barnard. And we'll throw it up on the screen. Now, many people are taking insulin and whatnot, have to wear a pump. And so, but type 1 and type 2, I probably should explain that difference. Maybe I'll do that in the next segment. But that is the best prescription to write, in my opinion, a doctor can write. Getting you to eat a plant-based, whole food, plant-based diet, no meat, no dairy, at least to get it under control. And it's counterintuitive. Because people think, wait a minute, it's carbohydrate that got me in trouble in the first place. No, it was processed carbohydrate and added sugar. And you were eating those foods in high quantities that got you into trouble. And you developed a visceral, and maybe you became overweight and obese, which compounds the problem because there he is, handsome fella. And when you have that visceral fat, it becomes an endocrine organ, pumping out cortisol and these inflammatory chemicals and compounds. And then you're inflammation-ridden on top of it. It's a mess. And now we know that diabetes is correlated with obesity. We know, and overweight and obesity. It is. It's not always the case for everybody, but that's a strong correlation. And this is the way. There have been people to follow Dr. Barnard's protocol and have gotten off their meds. We had somebody call in the other day, this week. Remember, he called in from one of the health stores here in Tampa. What was Vitamin Discount Center?
Yes.
He called in from Vitamin Discount Center. And he was only on it how long? How many days? He said a few weeks, and he noticed the difference right away. Now, you know, you have to make the choice. The choice is, it's up to the individual. I'm a great believer the best persuasion is self-persuasion. Yeah. And it takes more than information. You have to tell people. That's why I'm sharing with you how, the how part. Now, it may be a message you don't like to hear. I say whole food, plant-based diet, no meat, no dairy. You say, I can't do that. How about if you did just a little bit to start? How about if you just started off with eating more vegetables and fruit? Start there a little bit. Just add a little bit more to your diet every day. And then keep working at it. And then maybe you get to no meat, no dairy. And then once you get that program underway, you will watch your blood glucose and insulin levels start to fall back into range. It's phenomenal. You'll say it's a miracle. Let food be your medicine and medicine your food. Boy, oh boy. One of the best quotes of all time, and that quote is thousands of years old, said by the father of modern medicine, right? Who knows? That might be a health question for today. Who's the father of modern medicine? You are listening to Let's Talk Nutrition, coast to coast and around the world.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. I was just talking about the obesity epidemic and looking at that Gallup survey about the obesity epidemic in the United States. It turns out, going back, now I'm going to connect the theme of location to diabetes, obesity, and other chronic diseases. In other words, where you live. I'm going back to that theme again and using another Gallup survey to help make the argument that where you live has an impact on your health. Gallup did a survey as part of their State of American Well-Being. It was entitled Active Living Environment in United States Communities. The Gallup research shows that what they describe as active living environments, these are environments where the community in which people live, that community will invest in what? Bike paths, parks, walkability for people, public transit. When the community where they live invests in those kinds of things, what happens? The people who live there have better outcomes in different aspects of their well-being. You know, like lower obesity rate, lower diabetes rate, lower daily stress, lower high blood pressure, lower high cholesterol, lower heart attack rate, lower depression rate. I can go on and on. Less physical pain. This is amazing. When Gallup looked at these communities nationwide, residents in the five highest active living communities on average had significantly lower rates of smoking, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and depression. And significantly higher rates of exercise, healthy eating, fresh produce consumption, and those thriving in physical well-being, as compared to people living in communities with low active living infrastructure. No sidewalks, no parks, no places for people to go and run and jog safely. No, it's what they call the concept of active transportation environment. Amazing how where you live makes such a difference here.
Have you been out to Salt Lake City?
Never been. Everybody raves about it.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. You want to talk about going into a place where there's just so much activity of walking, bicycling, jogging, canoeing, kayaking, hiking. It's just unbelievable out there. That's
what everybody tells me. And the winters are not that easy, but still people work it in even then. Right?
Yeah.
It's a famous, that's where people go to ski and whatnot during the winter. But the cold weather keeps people active there. They figured it out.
It's just amazing there. It's just one of those cities that when you talk about, every time you talk about an active living lifestyle, that's the first city that pops into my mind all the time, Salt Lake City.
California, Florida. And by the way, there's a place up in the Northeast where it always comes up in the Gallup surveys as healthy, active living, and this and that. Vermont. Brattleboro. That's where New Chapter is, by the way.
Oh.
Brattleboro, Vermont. Always ranks high in people living active lifestyles. It's bitter cold up there in the winter, but they work it out. They figure it out. Now, sometimes there's nothing you can do. Maybe you can't afford to move. Maybe you're, because of other reasons, family reasons. And people, say, I would like to live in, you pick one of these places, what I'm talking about. But I can't. So what do you do then? Then you have to adapt. Here's what they reported on this active living environment in U.S. Communities survey. Boston and San Francisco were the top 2 active living communities in the United States, followed by Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C. Indiana and Oklahoma each have 2 of the bottom 5 active living communities, with Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa scoring low for active living infrastructure. New York and Boston are the top 2 communities for both walkability and transit. Madison, Wisconsin, and Portland, Oregon have the highest bike scores, while Minneapolis and Washington, D.C. have the highest park scores. We're just talking about the infrastructure here. It had nothing to do with nutrition. This gets at the whole notion of lifestyle. Where I live, fortunately, I can go walk. I can walk out the front door of my villa and walk 4 miles sidewalks. A sidewalk, 4 miles. Safe. I'm fortunate. I'm very lucky. I live in a place called New Tampa, and it's exactly that, New Tampa. And that's wonderful for me. And I can run that too. And then I can figure out how to, if I want to, tag on a couple more miles. But most people don't have that. And there's, by the way, there's a golf, I don't golf, but there's a golf course across the way.
About 14 feet.
Yeah, and I don't golf. I don't live on the course. I live off the course. But
and I keep telling myself I got to throw my clubs in the car so when I come see you, I can go hit some golf.
Go golf, man.
The place is I like New Tampa. I like the layout in New Tampa where you're at because you have 6 foot wide sidewalks up there.
Yeah, you can walk safely and comfortably, and it's nice. You're right. Where you live, who knew, right? Where you live makes a difference. Location, location, location. I wonder how many people, when they're buying or deciding to move somewhere, they have the luxury of the ability to do that. They take these things into mind. Usually they think about schools, shopping, and those kinds of factors. But what about the infrastructure? Are there sidewalks? Are there parks? Are there places to go jog and run? And so on and so on. I find it interesting, and California, Florida, the Southwest, in Arizona, very health-minded. Whole different approach. Yeah, there, gravy is not a beverage, by the way, there.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
LTN health question of the day. We could do another hour easy. Man, where did it go? All right. As I promised. Here's the LTN health question of the day. Phone lines are lit up. Bang. Whoa. Who is the father of modern medicine? I'm going to give you some hints. He wrote more than 70 books. He described in a scientific fashion many diseases and their treatment after detailed observation. He lived about 2,400 years ago. He was born on the island of Kos, and he died at the outskirts of Larissa at the age of 104. He wrote, according to all accounts, and taught under the shade of a big plane tree. What else can I tell you about him? I can tell you that without the benefit of clinical trials and any previous real understanding of health and biology and disease processes and whatnot, he was so brilliant. And he has, thank you, Stephen, he has an oath that's named after him. Okay? An oath. Was it Plato? Aristotle? Hippocrates? Which one? Plato, Aristotle, or Hippocrates? Which one of those individuals was the father of modern medicine? He quote by him, "Those by nature overweight die earlier than the slim," close quote. He said this 2,400 years ago. He figured out how to relieve pain. There was a tree, and it contained what's called salicacia, which has like an analgesic effect. It's like aspirin. He described epilepsy for the first time as a sacred disease, as was considered in those times, but as a hereditary disease of the brain, and added, quote, do not cut temporal place, because spasms shall occur on the opposite area, close quote. He studied anatomy, he probably did dissections and whatnot. Father of modern medicine. It's astounding. It's that a human being could have that kind of insight. He didn't have the science that we have today. Unbelievable. Let's go to Seminole, Florida. Laura Lee, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
Well, I'm pretty good. And yourself?
I'm good. It's good.
You sound good.
Yeah, well, well, thank you. Yeah, optimistic. Optimism is a wonderful antidote for what ails you, right?
Right.
Being optimistic and being around people who are optimistic. I'm familiar with Seminole. Gary, you're familiar with Seminole, right?
Yes.
Did you ever do any police work there did you ever work that
Seminole Heights or Seminole the city?
They're different.
Yeah.
Seminole City.
She lives in Seminole City.
Pinellas. No, I didn't.
Oh, that's in Pinellas. Were you born and raised in Florida?
Oh, no.
No.
No, I've been down here 30 years, though.
Do you find that where you have lived affected your health or the way you live? Because I was talking about that today.
Yeah, no, I can't say that was a factor.
I was just curious. it does have an impact, as I was reporting. There's so much more I could tell you about it. But who is considered the father of modern medicine? Plato, Aristotle, or Hippocrates?
I would say it's Hippocrates.
It is. Doctors take the Hippocratic Oath. Of course, his works have been translated into English, and I read them. It's just remarkable how brilliant he was. And he lived to be 104, 2,400 years ago. I didn't know that either until I started digging. I mean, that's remarkable for that time and age. Thinking that in 1900, in our country, the average life expectancy was only 45 or so. In the United States in the year 1900. That's amazing. But I'm glad you won. Congratulations. You won a $25 supplement gift card. Is there anything that I could do on the show that you would like to know about or talk about? Is there anything that particularly interests you that you would like me to focus on someday?
Yeah, I would think IBS would be a good one. Irritable
bowel syndrome? Okay.
Yes.
I will make a note of that. And I don't know how frequent you listen, but I don't know when I'll get to it though. I allude to it.
Well, I listen just about daily.
Okay, then I will make a note. Laura Lee, IBS, and we'll talk about it.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your listenership, and have a wonderful weekend.
And thank you very much. You have a wonderful weekend also.
Thanks a lot, Laura Lee. Thank you. I told you, if you call the show, if you call to talk about Lent, okay, I don't care what it is. I'll talk. I love to talk with you. It's fun to do this, isn't it?
It is. It's entertaining.
I love it, man. I was thinking about it last night.
I do not walk out here ever with not having a smile on my face.
It's always fun. Just love the connection. Just, I don't know why. You're good people out there. We love you. Take care of yourself. Have a wonderful weekend. Have some fun. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your food. Get some exercise. Walk around a little bit. Get in touch with optimistic people. Small wins. All the things I talk about on the show. And be hopeful. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you. And know that I love you.